There were 5 games on Tuesday. We're going to recap all of them. News, waiver wire trends. I might get ejected myself. Who knows? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I just bought a pair of shoes off Gilbert Arenas. I'll do an unboxing later on. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. Light day in the NBA, 5 games on, still had some interesting performances, some interesting news that did break, so today's show is not going to be as bulky as what we had yesterday, where we went for about an hour talking about those 13 games. We'll talk what we need to talk. That's what we do. Let's do a quick news update. Update on Jordy Clarkson's got a hamstring injury. He's going to be out at least 2 weeks. I honestly don't know what this team does. With every game, everything is up in the air. Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler are all questionable for tomorrow's games. So I don't know whether they play or not. That changes a lot about usage. I would expect that they start Ochai Agbaji, assuming those other 3 guys are available, in place of Clarkson. If we see no Kessler, Collins, and Markkanen, you're going to get a mix of Fontecchio. You're going to get maybe a Linux. You might get a Agbaji starting with Colin Sexton. I honestly don't know. They can go in so many different directions. Like last game, they surprised us by playing Fontecchio at the 4 and a Linux at the 5, while Hendricks and Yurtseven were on the bench and Agbaji was at the 3. There's just so many ways they can go here. With Clarkson was already borderline anyway. If you don't have an empty IL slot, I think you're okay moving on and add him back later on. Would you consider Colin Sexton an add? I definitely wouldn't consider Ochai Agbaji an ad. I might look at Sexton, but that's more for points leagues or like 14-team league formats, not a 12-team category ad at this stage. I don't think they're starting. I think if all things are equal, they will start Agbaji there, and he needs a lot to go right to even come close to sniffing 12 teams. I just don't think he's anywhere near that. There is no timetable on Kyrie Irving. He's still on crutches and in a boot, so we're going to rule him out the rest of this week, probably at least another 7 to 10 days, I would guess. We'll talk more about the Mavericks later on, but their situation is even more or equally confusing to the Jazz's, because we could say that Irving's out, but there's like a million other guys that are in and out as well, and that value consistently changes. Tyler Hero, we thought maybe he could return either on the Wednesday, Thursday, back-to-back coming up here, but it looks like he's going to be out for those ones and return within the next week. So him and Bam, I don't think we see this week, maybe early next week, who knows, with Bam as well. He's got no timetable. And then in San Antonio, Goldfinger Charlie Bassey has torn an ACL. Bad news after having the patella issue last season. That's 2 serious knee injuries in 2 years for Bassey. This will push Mamukelashvili into that third-string center role. It doesn't really do much or change anything for Zach Collins, who currently is the backup center. Mamu just becomes somewhat of a deeper league guy. But I would imagine most nights, Mamu doesn't have to play because it's Wemby at center and it's Collins at backup. So Mamu's the third stringer, which will be important for deeper leagues, but that is probably about it, I would say. Let's look at some waiver wire trends before we head into recapping the games. The most added players in the last 24 hours. Number 1 is Isaiah Hartenstein. According to our advanced roster percentage metric at Basketball Monster, he's up to like 84% rostered. Now on Yahoo's at 37. Big discrepancy over there. But it does seem most like switched on leagues have gone and grabbed Hartenstein despite coming off the bench behind Sims. He did get more minutes there. So he's clearly an ad. If you're one of the people who added Dante Exum, congratulations. We'll talk more about that later on. He is a guy that we go with for now, and we see what happens. He was great. He was up 26%. Caleb Martin, really strong ad Wednesday, Thursday, back-to-back. Hero Bam still out. Highsmith still out. I don't know if it lasts long-term, but for now it does, so who cares? Let's add him. Joshy Hart up 13%. I did think this would happen, and people reacted to his big game yesterday. And I think maybe wrongly attributing it to Mitchell Robinson's absence when it was really due to Quickly's absence. Now, Quickly might miss again tomorrow, so that's fine. Hart is okay to roster. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think it's Robinson related. It was Quickly's absence related that caused that big performance. Al Horford was added plus 11%. That's fine because he played today, but they have 3 more games this week, but Horford only has 2 because there's a back-to-back and he's not going to play it. I don't think that he's necessarily a must-roster player. And Ben Mathurin up 7%. It's a big, massive chase. It's fine. I get it. Also remember, you don't get credit for the good game that he had. And I don't think he's got that in him. Go for it. Like, that's totally okay to roster him. I'm not sure that it's a gigantic priority or anything along those lines. It's very easy to say what a high priority is, just chasing the big game from the game before, understanding that you don't get it. It doesn't count. The most dropped players. Number 1 is Obi Toppin, down 17%. He didn't even crack 20 minutes last game. Totally understand it. He's fine as a streamer. He's not a must-roster 12-teamer. Mo Wagner down 14. That is a clear drop with that schedule. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no games for Orlando. Wendell Carter returning soon. You don't need to have Mo Wagner. Santi Aldama down 10%. He started and barely played. He's okay. Again, he's fine to hold. Will he start next game? Probably, but there's still, do they put Biyombo back into more minutes? Tillman back into more minutes? There's just a constant jerking around of that playing time, and he's not a 12-team must. Sohan down 9%. That's totally reasonable as well. I think he's a good stream. Coming up 3 quality games in the next 5 days for the Spurs. So that makes him more appealing in that scenario. Alex Caruso, the rabbit hunter, he's down again. Missed 2 games in a row. You can't hold on to Caruso. He just can't be trusted. When he plays, add him. When he's out, drop him. And then DeAndre Hunter down 8%. He missed last game. He is questionable for tomorrow's game. He's not a must-roster player. I still have always preferred Bey and Bogdanovic over him. You can, if he decides he's playing tomorrow or they decide he's playing tomorrow, you can go and get him. But I don't think there's a huge amount of excitement there for DeAndre Hunter. He's just very, very, very mid as a fantasy contributor. Today's episode is brought to you by our partners at eBay Motors. Oops, as I hit the microphone. They are teamed up with me at Locked On Fantasy Basketball to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. When you're scouting the waiver wire every week, we're going to help you provide players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. I am very interested in the play of Keontae George. I don't know. Well, I'm pretty sure he won't continue to shoot as well as he did on Monday, but the opportunity is there. It's not going away. There are more shots now coming with Jordan Clarkson out. Hopefully he's able to convert them at a better rate, but the assists are strong, the scoring's strong, the role is strong. I just don't think he should be available in over 50% of leagues. So that opportunity makes him worth having on your team, and that fit might be something that helps drive you towards not only a win this week, but maybe a fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows that a championship team is all about each player being a perfect fit. What was I going to say? Yeah, same with your vehicle. That's what I was going to say. Because on eBay Motors, they've got 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die. So you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever it is that your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. With your eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. And at these prices, it feels like you're burning rubber and not burning cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to US customers. Eligible items only and exclusions apply. Okay. Stay tuned after this. Locked On Sports Today, our live streaming channel on YouTube, but also let's get up to 70,000 subscribers. Operation 70K. We are getting there. If you can hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. Let's go into the games. Lakers and Mavericks. All right. The Lakers are playing again tomorrow. They lose this one by 2 against the Mavs on a back-to-back, 127-125. LeBron played 40 minutes. To me, that is a giant indicator that LeBron will not play tomorrow. 40 minutes, 33, 8, and 9, 3 steals, a block, really good percentages. It's another ridiculously good game from LeBron. Almost no chance he plays tomorrow, surely. Anthony Davis, 37 minutes despite a stint on the bench due to him tweaking his groin. 37 and 11 with 2 blocks and 71%. I would have to expect that he doesn't play tomorrow either. To me, that was always going to be the plan, and then I don't know that, but that was my understanding. That was my guess that it would be the plan. And then Davis hurt his groin again today. Almost zero chance he plays. But they were both really good here. You got to be a bit worried about D'Angelo Russell's minutes. 25 minutes, 7 points, 9 shots, 7 assists. His minutes have been down basically every game the last week and a half. It might push back up tomorrow if LeBron is out, but don't let that change the fact that things are trending down pretty quickly for D'Lo. We still got to hold him, but yeah, it's moving in the wrong direction. because Austin Reeves is starting to play much better. 32 minutes for Lemon Daddy. He had 22, 5 and 8 with 4 threes on 50% shooting, while Cam Reddish played 22 minutes with 4, 3 and 2. Reddish is not an overall very good player. He's not a 12-team must-roster player at all. The reason that we could stream him in was for the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. Not a great return on leg one of it. Hold him for tomorrow. It was Taurean Prince, the man who went off today. 37 minutes, 15, 4 and 4 with 5 threes on 83% shooting. If there's one thing we know about Prince is that we cannot rely upon him at all. He is all over the shop, and now because he shot 83% in this game, he's likely to go 0 of 6 for 0 points tomorrow. His minutes will push up, they'll push down, they're all over the shop. 29 minutes for Hachimura seems unnecessary. He had 7 points in 29 minutes. The only reason I'd consider adding him is that I think LeBron is out and he'll get more shot attempts. He needs minutes and usage to be useful. He doesn't get them. He's not useful. He was bad again in this one. While Jackson Hayes played 13 minutes and Max Christie, who played over Hachimura in the championship game, only got the 6 minutes. But I think this team's going to be really, really interesting tomorrow. I believe that Vanderbilt will play. Christian Wood was a DNP here. I think he'll get minutes. He moves into the stream territory as well as Hayes and Hachimura, Reddish and Prince, with the expectation that LeBron and Davis are out. Might be a false expectation, but it's my expectation for them at the moment. The Mavericks, they were without Kyrie. They were without Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, of course. And Derek Jones, who got a thigh contusion yesterday, was out too. So they welcomed Grant Williams back. We'll start with him. He played 40 minutes. 19 points, 5 threes, 78%. He took 9 shots and hit 7 of them. Not a 12-team guy I'm adding. But I am adding Dante Exum, who played 36 minutes, had 26, 4 and 3, hit 7 threes, a steal, and a block on 80% shooting. Now, obviously, 80% shooting is ridiculous. But this is a great, great example of the importance or the issues sometimes with sample size and weekly matchups and all that sort of stuff. Every Lakers fan I know was citing the fact that Exum had been shit all season for shooting, and then he went off against them. Of course, he shot well against us. It's the Lakers. Cool, that's not a thing that exists, but whatever. That's how the Lakers perceive that, and I get that. That's okay. But when you're out here tweeting about, like, oh, he's only a 28% shooter for the season, he'd shot 28 attempts. He'd shot 28 attempts from 3 this season, and he was at 28%. And yes, he went off in this game. He was also a combined 42% shooter from 3 for the last 2 full seasons in Europe. Is he a 42% shooter? I'm not sure. But I also do take that sample size a little bit more importantly than the sample size of 28 shots across the start of this season. The other interesting thing is he was 7 of 9 from 3 here, taking his season shooting percentage up from 28 to 41. That's all it took. That is how small a sample size we were dealing with. So this 28% shooting sample size from Exum to begin the season was not indicative that he's just a terrible shooter who went off against the Lakers. Because now, if they were to play the Lakers again tomorrow and he went 0 of 3, you go, man, look at the luck the Lakers get. He's a 41% three-point shooter. And he missed all of them. Right? It's just the way that sample sizes work, variance works, and the way that we need to incorporate that and understand that in fantasy as well. So he went from 28 to 41 in one game, while shooting 42% the last 2 seasons. He should be rostered. So should Tim Hardaway, who returned from 1 game absence, 32 points, 37 minutes, 5 threes. He will get so many opportunities with all these players out. He didn't start. They started Seth Curry, who then got injured and was replaced by Jaden Hardy. But I'm not looking at Hardy or Curry as 12-team league guys. I'm looking at Exum and Hardaway. I would consider a hold on Derek Jones. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I think he'll have 12-team value when he returns because I think he'll be back before Kyrie and Josh Green. Lively was at it again, only 8 points, and actually dropped his field goal significantly down to 57, but 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Another great game. He's a must-roster player. The Maverick stuff is still tough to work out because if Jones returns, what does it do? I would still be making sure that Exum, Jones, and Hardaway are on a 12-team roster. Grant Williams is a 14, and then you go to like Hardy as like a deeper league player, and Curry we don't really need to worry about. But a big win on... I didn't even talk Doncic. Big win on a back-to-back for Dallas. 33, 6, and 17 for Luka. Only 43 from the field, but a perfect 6 of 6 from the line. He is carrying hard. He had massive usage, putting up big assist numbers. Just a huge, huge game again from Luka in this one. The second game of the day, the Cavs and the Celtics, 120 Boston, 113 Cleveland. Mobley out again. You've got to be a little bit worried here with that knee problem. That's 3 games in a row, but we featured him on the Buy Low show today. The buy low bump elevated Jarrett Allen. 37 minutes, 14, 5 and 5, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 67%. Buy low window probably closes a little bit there. Still don't rate him as a top 50 player, but that's just good to get back on track. While Garland had 26, 2 and 7, and Mitchell had 29, 6 and 3. Also a nice bounce back from the Winter Soldier, Max Strus, who was the dud of the night yesterday. 17 and 9 with 5 threes. Really good, obviously. And then there's not much else. Dean Wade started with Mobley out, 8 points in 20 minutes. LeVert returned and played just 23. He had 11, 2 and 3. We do not need to roster Karis LeVert in 12-team leagues. The production from him has fallen pretty significantly. He is now 264th over the last 2 weeks. He's missed a bunch of games. He will have moments where he rises back up, but at the moment we don't need to care. And then Okoro had 3 points in 16 minutes. Cool. If we go on to the next game, and we will, not the next game, the next team is what I meant to say, onto the Boston Celtics, we saw Jason Tatum have 41 minutes. It's a lot of play, man. 25, 10 and 5, 9 of 9 from the line we love, but 37 from the field, yuck. Porzingis was also bad from the field, 31%. They both struggled, but 21 and 10 with 2 blocks for KP and another 9 of 9 from the line. In fact, Tatum, Porzingis, White, and Brown didn't miss a free throw the entire game. As for Derek White, he was on the Sell High show, and I guess he proved me wrong. 17, 4 and 4, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 5 threes. He's still on an amazing heater. The sell high window remains open. I would do it. If I get a top 30 guy back, I would do that. Otherwise, enjoy it. And Jaylen Brown had 25, 2 and 4. Good numbers all around. Drew was all right. 11 points, 3 threes, 3 steals, which is good because his steals have been down all season. And then there's not much going on. Al Horford, 22 minutes, 2 and 5. I talked about him being added in a lot of leagues for today. I think he could be dropped. He's got 2 more games the rest of the week. They are on solid schedule days, but I don't think he's a priority guy to hold. I'd rather just move on and get other guys in. Slam and Sammy Hauser had 9 points with 3 threes, which is good, and we know we can stream him on those days, especially the Thursday, Friday back-to-back coming up for Boston, while Pritchard had 6 points with 2 threes and 2 steals. Today's episode is also brought to you by the GameTime app. You shouldn't have to worry about the stresses of buying tickets. Why would you need that? You just want to buy a ticket to something that is enjoyable. GameTime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theatre events that are near you. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, as well as their best price guaranteed. The best price guaranteed always means you get the best price. So if you find tickets in the same section and same row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. Also, sometimes even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Getting ready for the next one, game 3 of a 5-game slate. The Denver Nuggets and the Chicago Bulls. I find it really interesting sometimes the way that NBA teams do things. Like, apparently Chicago's got a gigantic Serbian population. I didn't know that, all right? But it's very weird to me. Maybe it's not. But it is weird to me having a Serbian appreciation night against the best player in the NBA, who is Serbian, in Jokic, at your home arena where a lot of the fans will be coming in as Serbians to cheer on your opponent. Does that not seem off to you? If you want to celebrate the Serbian culture in your city, you could have a Serbian appreciation night, I'm guessing, when the main draw does not belong to the other team. I get it that it's great. They want to come and see Jokic. I'm sure they would come to see Jokic anyway. But it just seems a weird... Mate, explain it to me. If someone wants to explain that to me and why I'm wrong with that, totally okay with that. Explain it, but it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's almost like secondary to what happened in this game. I'm so sick of NBA refs. I don't care about a decision getting made incorrectly. Like, that happens. It's a tough game to officiate. Sometimes contact is allowed. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's not enough. Whatever. All that stuff. I'll never advocate for, well, you got a decision wrong, therefore we are taking your pay away. A ridiculous decision. There is a lot of grading that goes on with NBA refs, and to say they don't get assessed on their performance is also ridiculous. But there is also a thing with the union and the inability for those guys to get fined and removed from their jobs, which is problematic. I cannot stand free throws as a general rule. I don't like them. It slows the game down, makes it boring. But that pales into insignificance with tech fouls. They are one of the worst things in this sport. What is the point of them? Not only is it petty, argumentative bullshit, but it brings in, again, the worst part of the game, fouls and free throw shooting. And then you get a situation where Jokic gets ejected for arguing with a ref. Sure, we don't want players to argue with refs. I don't want that. I don't like the look of it. The players have some responsibility here. They shouldn't do this. But I don't know any other sport in the world, maybe I'm wrong, where you just consistently kick players out of games for talking bad to a ref. Like, when does that happen? Ever. The relationship between the players and the refs is really bad. It needs to be improved. There's so much animosity and hostility going back all the time. I think the refs need to be paid more money. On average, they get paid like $300,000 a year, and that's a lot of money, I know. But this is a billions of dollar industry. And these guys are allegedly the top of their profession, and they are. You look at refs in other competitions, horrendous. NBL, bad. College, terrible. FIBA, what was going on? Right? Bad refs. There's a lot. It's a hard game to referee. There's a lot that can be done to fix it. These guys are the best. I'm not saying they should be getting paid $40 million a year, but there is enough money around in the NBA to pay these guys more money. Now, you should say, well, why would we reward them being shithouse with more salary? Not really the point of it. The point is that as an overall thing, the more money you pump into an organization or a role, the better candidates you get in there, the more the coaches, what I'm saying, the more the refs get the remuneration that they feel is on par with their role responsibilities, and then they don't have to try and be the star of the show as much, I would have thought. There's more on the line for them if they make just terrible decisions. And part of, I don't know, but part of what I think of some of this stuff is an ability for a level of notoriety because they don't feel like their schedule can be brutal. They'll go one night to ref a game and then have to get on the plane, get to the next place and ref, and then get again and ref again. They do back-to-backs all the time. And they get paid very well, but not enough. And this is not me simping for refs. I think they're terrible. But they are the best of the bunch. There just needs to be more put into training them and more tech surrounding to support. But I don't understand. I've digressed here. Techs are ridiculous. Why should we be kicking guys out of games? I know the common thing is a fan didn't come here to see the refs, but it's very true. Fouls in general, sitting guys down, fouling people out, ejecting players for talking. This is an entertainment business. It's a sport that people come to enjoy. Why are we kicking? Jokic, sure, should he have not turned around and talked as he was running? He didn't stop play. He didn't accost the ref. I don't know what he said to him. I don't know what he said. Unless he threatened to kill him or hurt him, then I don't know why. Maybe he did. You shouldn't kick guys out for that. There's no reason for an ejection in that scenario. If you said, hey, you're complaining too much, 1 point to the opponent. Just do that. Techs and ejections, and we'll talk about Draymond Green later on, very, very different story. Ejections for hurt feelings is an embarrassment to the NBA. Techs for hanging on the rim is an embarrassment to the NBA. This shit's ridiculous. Like and again, the home fans were booing the refs for ejecting the opponent's best player. You would think that the home teams would be like, hey, get out of here. We're going to have a chance to win now. They didn't. They didn't have a chance to win, but that's that whole Serbian national appreciation or whatever it was. Just a whole weird scenario. Sorry for the preamble. Jokic got ejected if you couldn't tell. And then KCP left at halftime with a head injury and Jamal Murray was out, yet they still beat the Bulls 114-106. 32 minutes for Reggie Jackson, 25-2-6. He's turning into an absolutely elite streamer when Jamal Murray is out. Do we add him? No. I don't think Murray misses any more time. That would be trying to get Tuesday's game onto your stat sheet. Jokic had 4 and 9 before he was gone. DeAndre Jordan played 25 minutes in his replacement, 9 and 10. Good game from Jordan. We sort of know that he might be a stream guy if Jokic misses. KCP, I remain unconvinced that he's a 12-team league player. He didn't do much before his head injury. Porter didn't do really huge amount here, nor did Aaron Gordon, although 14, 7, and 6 is fine. But I do want to focus on a guy that was a focus of yesterday, and that is Julian Strouder, who went off yesterday. And again, this is one of those situations. Do not get it too twisted. I did see some things on Strouder yesterday. I was like, man, you've got to go and add him. Like, he had this great performance. You've got to add him. Right? Today's game, in the first half, he had 0 points in 6 minutes. He ended the game, Julian Strouder, with 16 and 6 with 2 threes. Really good performance. The The second half had no KCP, it had no Nikola Jokic, and obviously Jamal Murray was out. Strowther is not a 12-team league player. The fact that he put up this line, again, if you didn't know that, you would come in and go, well, he repeated it 2 nights in a row, the same thing. Really good replacement there for Jamal Murray, but that's not what happened. He did all of that damage in the second half, which is very impressive. All that damage was in the second half with 3 starters out. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's something to monitor. It's definitely not something to go and add in a 10 or a 12 or probably a 14-team league. It required so many things to happen for him to get to that spot. So don't get overly twisted with that. The game flow is really important to know. Scoreless in the first half with no Jamal Murray. Played 17 second half minutes with KCP and Jokic out and had 16 and 6. Not a real lineup, not a real replicable thing. For the Chicago Bulls, no Levine, no Caruso again. Dosunmu didn't quite Tony Snell, but he had 9, 3 and 3 in 38 minutes. Just deeper league stuff there. While Vooch really did take advantage of no Levine. Big efficiency, 57%. 26, 16 and 5 with 2 blocks. Really good numbers from Vooch. He has, of course, been disappointing for most of this season. These games with Levine are helping him a lot. And really positive note, he got his efficiency up, which has been down all season. And really strong from DeMar DeRozan from the free throw line, 7 of 7. DeRozan ended with only 14, 4 and 5, though 2 blocks and shot 23 from the field. And his field goal percentage remains poor as well. Again, is he washed? No. Is he a long way away from his peak? Yes, he is. And I am not sure that it comes back. Kobe White was on the Sell High show and he put up another game to extend that window. 27, 4 and 8 with 5 threes. I love that he got those assists, but another night shooting 50% from 3. Now, unless this man is the best shooter in NBA history, and he's not, this is going to cool off. But you can just write it out. You don't have to do anything. But if someone wants to give you a top 30 player back, again, seems impossible, but you actually never know. That's when you trade him. Otherwise, you enjoy it. Pat Williams had 7 points in 31 minutes. Yeah, this is the risk with him. He took 8 shots and was 25%, which is terrible. 7, 2 and 0 is bad. I would still hold him. The opportunity is still there for him. But he is going to have stinkers. He is not good. He's going to have inconsistency problems. He'll have some good games. And I still think that he is worth a roster spot, but it is a continual adventure in frustration dealing with what Pat Williams tries to bring each night. All right, before we get on to the next game, the pool report from the officials is out about that Jokic situation, and what it was they deemed the language that Jokic used was sufficient enough to trigger a one-tech ejection, which is actually complete garbage. And I believe the rules say that cursing or blasphemy should not trigger a tech, let alone an ejection, unless it's a repeated tirade. And that's clearly not what it was. And then Adam Mares from Locked On Nuggets and DNVR Sports said that he had heard that multiple people said that Jokic had said as he turned around and said, call the foul, kids, earmuffs. He said, call the foul, motherfucker, which is the most ridiculous thing that you could be ejected for. I mean, it's not. There's other things you'd be ejected for, but that is insane. And the way that pool report went was crazy. Hey, what happened? Why did Jokic get ejected? To be clear, it was a one-tech ejection. Yeah, but what did he say? To be clear, it was a one-tech ejection. All right, my guy, we get the point. What actually happened? To be clear, it was a one-tech ejection. Cool, good story. You guys are all absolute jokers, and that was a pun unintended, and it's embarrassing. And that was what they call a professional segue, because speaking about clowns, Draymond Green is ejected again, swinging Barry Hall style elbow into Nurkic's head. And I have said this for years. If you are a long-time listener to this show, I have said this ad nauseum. The NBA's suspensions for violent acts is ridiculously low. One game is nothing. It's 1/82nd of a season. 1 week should be a minimum. 4 games should be a minimum on a suspension. Draymond should have got 20 last time. He should get 20 again this time. He won't, but he's going to get more than 5 suspended. He has to get suspended. If they used the reasoning last time for Draymond that his 5-game suspension was in part due to his past transgressions, and then he comes back Ja Morant style, different incidents obviously, but doing the same thing again, he's got to go for 10. He's got to be out until January. If honestly they suspended him the year, I'd have no problem with it. There's something going on with this man. There's something wrong. What I do think part of it is he's lost half a step. His team is sort of crumbling around him. His team, the team he plays for, is crumbling around him, and he's lashing out. There's just too many of these incidences happening. He needs to be gone. He needs to be gone for 20 games. But I've said that for every one of these situations, basically. The NBA is too lenient on these suspensions. He needs to be gone for 20. Buckle up. He is gone for minimum 5. Should probably be 10 would be my guess, based on what they said last time. Should be more. He's an idiot. He's just an absolute dickhead, honestly. I got no problem with physicality, but this guy just swings and punches all the time. This is what ejections are for. He should be suspended a long time. Get him out of here. I won't hear the argument that if this happened in real life, he'd be in jail. I don't think that's what jail happens for. But anyway, whatever. Let's talk about the Warriors, because they're in strife. 119, 116, the Suns beat them. We've got a lot to dissect with this Warriors team because they made the change at halftime. Draymond was obviously ejected, so someone had to replace him, but they benched Wiggins. They also benched Klay Thompson down the stretch. And so Klay Thompson fans don't get offended, so Andrew Wiggins fans don't get offended. I'm just going to throw a general one of these out here. They're both cooked. And I feel sorry for Klay because he seems like a nice guy. I actually feel really sorry for Wiggins at the moment because there seems to be something going on here. Because he's not old. He hasn't lost it through to injury or anything like that. I think that the stuff with his dad last season, as well as all the COVID stuff, which hit him, it hit everyone really hard, but it obviously hit him pretty hard too. There is something definitely. He hasn't just lost his ability to play basketball. There is something else going on, and it feels a little sad. I don't know what it is, but it just feels that way. Wiggins had 3 points in 15 minutes, shot 14%. There is absolutely no justification for rostering him in 12 and 14 leagues, and I'm almost ready to break my rule so I can play the Jack Armstrong. I won't, but I should. Should I do it? I don't think I've got the voice for it. Get that garbage out of here! Oh my God, I can't do it. Jack, how do you do it? I need a lesson. I'm going to hit Jack up personally. I'm going to try and get in contact to get him to record one for me so I can use it. You got to drop Wiggins. There's just no excuse for that. You can't hold him. What do you do with Klay though? 7 points, 27 minutes, 20% shooting, outside the top 150 for the season. In a 10-team league, I would jack him as well. Because when he comes back, he might bring you scoring and threes with not much else. But his mentality is off. He doesn't cut as hard to the rim. He takes bad shots. And there are honestly better players on this roster than him at the moment that should be getting those minutes. And we saw it today. John Kuminga played 29 minutes. I talked about him a couple of days ago, and I talked about adding him. We add him. I don't know that he can continue to do this, but 16 and 6, 60% shooting, I don't care. We add him. Green is out. We add him. Chris Paul was teetering. Like, do we add? Do we drop? And what we did say was all of his good games came with Draymond out. 30 minutes, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals. Draymond's going to be out. Paul continues on. The other one that's interesting here is the big fella, Brandon Podziemski. 29 minutes, 20 and 11, 5 assists, 2 threes, and a steal. And there's one thing I'll say about Podziemski. I'll say a lot of things, actually. He's just really good, and he just knows what to do. He's just got feel. And when I am evaluating draft prospects, and I had Podziemski in the lottery, maybe not high enough, I think feel is going to be one of those things that's hard to quantify, but it's easy enough to see. And when I saw him in Summer League and he shot like 10%, I was like, oh no, he looks good. I don't care that the shots aren't going in. Everything he's doing, he's in the right spot, he's making the right pass, he's doing the right thing at the right time, and it's translating. I think we add him. I don't think they can continue to play Wiggins big minutes. I think Podziemski's going to have to get involved here. And Kuminga as well. And I actually think Moody's a really good player. He's just not quite as fantasy-friendly as Kuminga and Podziemski. He had 12 and 4 with 2 threes, but in deeper leagues, we look at Moody. And I think Kevon Looney might be rooted as well. Now, part of the problem with Looney is the combination with him and Draymond does not work anymore. It's done. But Draymond's out. But I don't care. I think they're going to go different directions. 20 minutes for Šarić, 15 points. I would add Šarić, Kuminga, Podziemski. All of them are 12-team options. I would drop Wiggins. I would consider Klay a drop. And honestly, you might have to drop Draymond. I think he's going to be out a long time. Steph continued to do things, 24, 5 and 4, 4 threes and 3 steals, but it's getting really hard for him to continue to be the only bloke out of those veterans doing anything good. There needs to be a big shake-up where I talked about this about 4 days ago. I said, something's coming. And we started to see little things come, and I think something big is going to come soon. For the Suns, there was no Kevin Durant. There was no Grayson Allen. Then Josh Okogie left at halftime. But Bradley Beal did return. He didn't look like he was moving particularly well, but still he was out there. Apparently he's going to play tomorrow unless Frank Vogel has come out and said something different. He hasn't at this point, so there we go. So he looks like he'll play tomorrow. It's going to be a bit of a slow ride here, but it's just good that he's back and you can get him activated. Bielo had 16, 3 and 3 with a 111. That's good news. We got 5 minutes of Bol for all the Suns fans calling for Bol. He was minus 16 in 5 minutes. He probably never plays again, and I think he gets cut. Honestly, he's terrible. He needs to go. The big four, including Bol. Cool. They started Chimezie Metu, who had 14 points in 25 minutes. Good stuff. But the Metu, Okogie, Watanabe, Little, Gordon, Bates Diop, nonsense rotation means it's impossible to sort of track who you want to look at. Booker was pretty good again, 32, 4 and 7. Nurkic had 17, 13 and 7 good games there. And Jordy Goodwin, 30 minutes. With Allen unlikely to play tomorrow, Durant unlikely to play, Beal likely to be limited. Goodwin had 16, 5 and 6, 2 steals and a block. We know he is a fantasy stat magnet. And when guys are out, we roster him. He's worth a look for the short term. Not a good game from Gordon, 8 points on 27%, and just blanked every other category. Well, that's not true. He hit a 3, but he had 0 rebounds, assists, steals, or blocks. Not great overall, but still worth holding. Got the back-to-back tomorrow. And again, things still need to shake out with this team with a bunch of guys like Okogie, Durant, Littleface, Allen, all needing to return and play. But yeah, the Warriors side of that is a lot more interesting and a lot more openings happening for fantasy. Let's talk Kings. Clippers. The Kings got punked on a back-to-back. NBA. I know it's hard for you with back-to-backs, but there are two very obvious things, and they're illustrated in this game. Teams usually coming off a back-to-back. Now, the Clippers were on a back-to-back too, that's true. But teams usually on a back-to-back perform worse. It's bad for the product, and players get injured more on back-to-backs. And both of those things happened here. For the Kings, we put him on the Buy Low show today, and Keegan Murray responded well. What's Mitch Casey call it? A rocket. 17 and 7 with 3 steals on 43%. Much better. Still got a way to go, but that's important. But everything else is yuck. Fox had 14 in 25 minutes. Sabonis went 15 and 10 in 26 minutes with bad percentages. They're in a little bit of a slump at the moment, both of those guys, with some of the shooting numbers. You can't hold Kevin Huerter. What are we doing? 83% of people rostering him. 16 minutes, 3 points. Get him out. Like, you know my stance on Fan of Pants. I've been accused of being a Fan of Pants stan in the past. Man, you just love Huerter too much. Nope. Just get rid of him. And the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Maybe it's good that I can't play the sound drops, because the day that I would have to retire the Barnes sound drop because he's out of the league would be a bit more sad, I think. He's cooked. They lucky they re-signed him and prioritized giving away a first-round draft pick so that they could do it. Cool. 2 points in 90 minutes. That's an oversimplification of the whole thing. But still, he's bad. He's cooked. He's done. Lyles was all right. 20 minutes, 3 and 6. We're not adding him. While Monk, not great. 22 minutes, 8 and 5. Is all right. Enough to hold. Vezenkov put on a little bit towards the end, and we got 12 Chris Duarte garbage time minutes. But the fact that it's 12 minutes from Duarte and it's garbage time tells you about where he sits. Also, Davion Mitchell, one of the... I can't believe that in that draft, two of the worst lottery picks now play for the same team, Davion Mitchell and Chris Duarte. They were both terrible picks at the time, and they've somehow worse. Mitchell just has lost the plot. 1 point on 3 shots. He's terrible. For the Clippers, Kawhi is back. 31 points, 31 minutes, 79%, back-to-back, hasn't missed a game, cooking. Absolutely roasting. 6th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. We thought maybe, is he there? Is the usage ever going to come back? Well, here it is. The injury I was talking about was Paul George. Didn't play in the second half. Groin issue, 16 minutes, 9 and 6. But now we'll see, because the Clippers, notorious injury liars, have been like this before. But Ty Lue said, yeah, it was more precautionary. He could have come back in the second half. They obviously didn't need him to. But I believe they said I believe they said that last time with his hamstring, and yeah, it cost him about 3 weeks. So we'll see. They started Norman Powell in the second half. He had 15 points in 27 minutes. That might be an interesting ad. But I'll tell you what I'm not doing. I'm not adding Russell Westbrook. Westbrook was fine. 8 and 7, 20 minutes, 50% shooting. That's all okay. I saw an absolutely delusional post on the Fantasy Basketball Reddit today, subreddit about fantasy. If that guy's listening, apologies, I'm directing this to you. Talking about how the Clippers are disrespecting Russ and it's ridiculous they're not playing him, and why doesn't he go to another team that makes it work for him? Like, just give it up. It's not there anymore for him. And you do not need to roster Russell Westbrook. And there's going to be, did I say roster Westbrook? There's going to be people who disagree. Like, even though Paul George is injured, I don't care. I don't think that Russell Westbrook needs to be a 12-team league player. And I don't know whether George is going to miss any time here. Terrence Mann was all right, 30 minutes, 10 points, 5 rebounds. I'm not adding him even if Paul George misses. And we got just the 23 minutes out of Zubac, 6 and 9. He'd been absolutely killing. We know the inconsistency can be a problem there. Also, 24 minutes of Kobe Brown. Didn't do much, 7 and 6. That's a deep league one. I added him in 30 deep, but that's how deep we're talking when we get to Kobe Brown. And that is the end of the day, which I thought was going to be a 5-day, well, it was a 5-game day. I thought it was going to be relatively light, but no, a lot of interesting and weird and annoying things happened. Let's do the stream of the day recap. The 10-team stream of the day was Derek Lively, 8 and 8 with 2 steals and 3 blocks. I'm okay with that. Pat Williams is a 12-team stream, stunk 7 and 2 with a block. I am still holding. The 14-team stream, absolute W there. Dante Exum, 26 points, 7 threes, 4 rebounds, a steal and a block. The 16-team stream was Daniel Tice. He had 8 and 3 with a steal. That's not great, but it's 16-teamers. And our points league streams killed again. Dante Exum, 40.3 Yahoo points and 54 ESPN points. Absolutely gets the business done. Let's do the monstrous line of the night. 2 real contenders here. They played against each other. It was LeBron. It was Luka Doncic. And in the end, the monstrous line of the night goes to LeBron James. 33, 8, and 9. I know it's cliche. I know it's played out. I know it's gauche to talk about how is LeBron doing it. It's at 39. But honestly, just sit and look at what he's doing. We take it for granted. This is insane. I feel really confident that in your lifetime, you will probably never see anyone do this at this age, because I don't think, well, we've literally never seen it before. And here's our monstrous line of the night with another crazy, crazy performance. The waiver wire line of the night. The best player available in over 50% of leagues. Not sure he'll be available in over 50% after today, but it is Dante Exum. 26 points, 7 triples, 80% shooting. Injuries all over the place in the forward and guard spots for the Mavericks. We go and add Dante and we get excited about it. The young gun of the night, the best player in their first or second season. It was pretty close in the end here. I thought maybe Brandon Pajemski was going to get there, but no. Jordan Goodwin, 16, 5, and 6. Defensive stats as well. Big minutes. Good opportunity again for him tomorrow. And the dud of the night, I don't really think you have to guess on this one because he's got it a few times. We talked at length about the fact that is the wrong button that I pushed, but lucky you didn't see it. The dud of the night is Andy Wiggins. 3 points, 14% shooting, 1 assist. It does not look good. Let's do the top 6 players now. Starting with the category league, top 6 for the day. Is that the right one? That's the right one. LeBron at 1, Luka at 2, Vooch is at 3, Kawhi Leonard comes in at 4, Devin Booker at 5, and Kobe White comes in at number 6. Your top 6 players right in under 50% of leagues. Number 1 was Exum. Yes, we're adding him. Goodwin, interesting stream tomorrow. Pajemski, probably worth looking at. Timmy Hardaway, yeah, we grab him. Reggie Jackson, that's a fill-in because of Murray being out. Not sure we need to do much there. And Grant Williams was really good today. I don't think that's an actionable 12-team move. And for points leagues today, it was Luka Doncic at 1, followed by LeBron, Vooch, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, and old mate Jason Tatum. The last thing, let's just do a quick little checklist wrap-up of some waiver moves here. Again, more tailored to standard leagues. We're adding John Kuminga. We're adding Dante Exum. And we're adding Brandon Pajemski. The Pajemski and Kuminga ones may not work out, but I'm feeling they're going to be at least a short-term one. And then for drops, no need to hold Karis LeVert and no need to hold Al Horford. Of course, there are other ones. That's just a little bit of a summary of some of the key takeaways, I think, from today's show. Yeah. So again, I think people got a pretty positive feedback on that little checklist segment. I hope it has been working for you guys. And that'll do it. The end of today's show. We are hitting towards 70,000 subscribers. So if you are here, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. That is a great way of helping out the show. If you want audio, come across to YouTube. Say hi over there as well. Jump in the chat, jump in the comments. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.